Hello, my name is Lakeisha LaFleur, and the case study I will be presenting to you for my Strategies and Policies class is case number 25, Starbucks, 2015. So what is Starbucks? Starbucks is an American coffee company. The coffee chain now operates in 22,000 locations worldwide. New York City alone has over 300 of them. In 2015, they were the leader of special coffee drinks. Starbucks consists of coffee, breakfast foods, protein boxes and bowls, parfaits, and various desserts. Starbucks has many different things to offer. The coffee that they have comes in hot brewed, cold brewed, iced coffee, lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos, mochas, and frappes. The breakfast food they have available is muffins, danishes, and bagels. The protein options that they have are salads, fruits, wraps, and various sandwiches. Parfaits that they have are berry, blueberry and honey, and lemon crunch. And the desserts that they have are scones, cookies, and cake pops. The first Starbucks was opened in 1971 by three entrepreneurs, Jerry Baldwin, Zev Segal, and Gordon Bauer. They started out by selling whole bean coffee in Seattle's Pike Place market. Within the first 10 years they were in business, they grew to a total of 5 stores. Howard Schultz met the three entrepreneurs by selling coffee makers to them. Howard Schultz eventually became the marketing manager for Starbucks. He visited Italy, where he was inspired to create an Italian-style coffee bar. The owners did not like the idea because they were not looking to get into the restaurant business. Schultz decided to write up his own business plan and went on to open his own coffee bar in 1986, Il Giornale. The original three owners saw how successful Schultz was and decided to sell Starbucks to him for $4 million. For the first 3 years, Starbucks lost money, but by 1991, sales shot up 84% and the company broke out of the black. Starbucks has three main competitors: Caribou Coffee, that was founded in 1992. They have 470 coffee houses in 20 states, brought in $326.5 million in sales in 2012, but they went private in 2013. McDonald's was founded in 1948. They have 36,000 restaurants in 119 countries. They brought in $27.4 billion in sales. And later on in 1993, Anne Brown created the McCafe, and it was later introduced to all their other restaurants. Dunkin' Donuts was founded in 1948, originally called Open Kettle Donut Shop. The name changed to Dunkin' Donuts in 1950. They have 11,000 outlets in 30 countries. They also own Baskin-Robbins and To-Go Sandwiches. The three of them totaled $748.7 million in sales in 2014. Starbucks has three things that help redefine a cup of joe. Bean procurement is very important to Schultz. It involves having the right flavor, body, and acidity. Brews are subject to cupping, which involves inhaling the steam, tasting the coffee, and spitting it out to evaluate aroma and taste. Nariño Supremo beans are also important when it comes to Starbucks coffee. It is a small Colombian crop grown in the high regions of the Cordillera mountain range. It is used for upgrading blends of coffee. Starbucks purchases the entire yield of the crop because it is reputably one of the best coffees in the world. Roasting is another important aspect when it comes to Starbucks coffee and redefining a cup of joe. They start by roasting their own coffee beans. They go as far as training their employees to judge the roasted coffee by sight, smell, and hearing. Schultz believed that happy employees are the key to a successful business. He offers compensation and benefit packages to both full-time and part-time employees. Employees are also put through training programs when they are hired. Each employee takes at least 24 hours worth of classes covering everything from coffee history to a 7-hour workshop. They're even put in bar classes where they are able to practice taking orders and making the drink in a low-stress environment. Doing it this way also protects Starbucks' quality image by allowing only experienced baristas to serve customers. Employees' welfare goes beyond the U.S. borders. Schultz went out of his way to help Guatemalans get the wages and benefits they deserved. The company guidelines called for overseas suppliers to pay wages and benefits that address the basic needs of workers and their families. It also allowed child labor only when it does not interrupt required education. In the early years, Starbucks owned all of its stores outright. Competition was quick to arise once Starbucks became extremely popular. Starbucks would go into a market and completely dominate it before setting its sights further abroad. Starbucks eventually went to licensing agreements, and it opened the door so they could begin thinking about going international. Sales declined for the first time ever in 2009. This resulted in them closing 900 company-operated stores between 2009 and 2010. On February 26, 2010, Schultz closed all U.S. stores for 3 hours to retrain 135,000 in-store employees. His gamble paid off and sales began to rise again. In 2014, Schultz invested his own money of $30,000 for PTSD programs and other initiatives to help veterans and vowed to hire 10,000 veterans and their families by 2018. Critics thought that Schultz was crazy because they did not think that veterans could live up to the image Schultz worked so hard to create for Starbucks. Schultz quickly explained how it helped to project a voice into the debate, and hopefully it's for good. He stated, "We are leading to try to redefine the role and responsibility of a public company." How is Starbucks doing today? Starbucks has announced they will be closing 150 stores in 2019. That's about triple the number of stores it usually closes in a year. They are going to reduce the abundance of stores in the same area because they are starting to compete with each other. The number of total stores is still expected to increase. New stores will be placed in areas that are not as saturated, as well as areas people would least expect to see a Starbucks. Starbucks fiscal 2019 highlights are: global comparable store sales increased 3%, driven by a 3% increase in average ticket. The company opened 319 net new stores in quarter 2, yielding 30,184 stores at the end of the quarter, a 7% increase over the prior year. 94% of the net new store openings were outside of the U.S., while 88% were licensed. Consolidated net revenues of $6.3 billion grew 5% over the prior year. The company returned $3.2 billion to shareholders through a combination of repurchases and dividends. This is the end of my presentation for case number 25, Starbucks, 2015. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the discussion section of this assignment.